Welcome to the SBI podcast, offering CEOs, sales and marketing leaders ideas to make the number.
Welcome to the SBI podcast, a weekly broadcast dedicated to helping you make your number by getting your peers to share with you how they are making theirs. Today we're going to demonstrate how to leverage sales development reps to generate leads for the sales team. So why this topic? For many B2B companies, inbound marketing is not producing enough leads for the sales team. And as a result, many marketers have added a team of SDRs as well as salespeople. And SDR stands for sales development reps. And the goal there is to drive outbound marketing efforts in an attempt to meet the never-ending need for more leads. My name's Greg Alexander. I'm the CEO of SBI, and I'm your host. And helping me today with our demonstration is an executive who knows a thing or two about this topic. Her name is Heather Young. And Heather has implemented outbound marketing through a team of SDRs. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Greg. Happy to be here.
And Heather, if you wouldn't mind, could you give a formal introduction of yourself to the audience?
Sure, no problem. So again, I'm Heather Young, and I'm the Vice President of Sales Development here at Rimini Street for our marketing organization. I've been in the industry for about 19 years, focused on inside sales. That includes sales development as well. And today I'm really proud to be part of Rimini Street. Rimini Street is a leading global provider for third-party enterprise software support.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the questions. So my first question, Heather, is why did you choose to implement outbound marketing with a team of SDRs?
Well, I mean, you said so yourself that inbound is really critical to help build pipeline, but it might not necessarily be enough to get to your revenue goals. And we found at Rimini Street that to be the case. So we built an outbound team not only to focus on the inbound leads, but also have a proactive focus on prospective clients that we believe have the highest likelihood of benefiting from our offering, but they might not be engaged with us already.
Okay. And is this in replacement of or in addition to inbound marketing?
It's absolutely a joint effort. So it's in addition to inbound marketing as well. So like I said, inbound is hugely critical, and how we respond and respond quickly to the interests of those coming into us is important. But outbound allows that proactive outreach to those who aren't engaged with us. So it's really the combination of both of these that allowed for a full spectrum strategy to reach out to as many prospective clients as possible.
Yep. Okay. Very good. You know, sometimes it's a mistake. People pick one, inbound versus outbound, and sometimes people get really animated about arguing about what's best. And I think the way that you're deploying it is it's really they're complementary to each other. Each plays a certain role within an organization, and yeah. So okay, very good. I'm glad to hear that. So it's my understanding that you have a team of approximately 20 SDRs. And that's a sizable investment. So what expectations are there for this team, and how did you secure the funding? I mean, what was the business case?
Sure. So in terms of expectations, the team members each have a quota target of leads. So the expectation then is to achieve that target goal, and that these qualified leads they'll convert into pipeline. So that makes the business case pretty simple. By applying these resources who are dedicated to pipeline creation, we're providing the business a higher potential to close more business. So it makes it a pretty easy business case, and we've definitely seen the results of that, and that helped further our investments.
Okay, and a follow-up question to that is: Did you hire all 20 in one batch, or did you kind of add them over time as you started to have some success?
We added them over time, but there was definitely, we started off small, kind of piloting the program, saw the immediate success, and then took that leap of faith and then hired more. We also helped in that it's a ratio of supporting a percentage of, it's a 3-to-1 ratio out into the field. So we hire at the pace the field is hiring as well.
And 3-to-1 as in 3 outside reps for 1 inside rep, or the inverse?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
So 1 SDR supports 3 field reps.
Okay, got it. And that ratio, did you come up with that because that's some type of best practice, or was that kind of tribal knowledge? Did you experiment with the ratio? How'd you settle on that number?
It's definitely an industry best practice, but we also trialed and errored. I mean, we started off as a 2-to-1, which is a nice, that's a nice luxury. It doesn't quite give you the same, yield cost. But 3-to-1 is a nice number that still gives each of the 3 the number of leads that they need to get to their revenue goals, but at a cost that makes sense for the business.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, this is probably a pretty good time for a break. So this show's about 30 minutes. We're about 10 minutes in, so why don't we go ahead and take a break. So before we do, let me ask you, would you, audience members, like to implement an outbound marketing program with a team of SDRs? If so, I think SBI might be able to help you. So consider having one of our experts spend some time with you in a workshop. To get a feel for what's covered in that workshop, go to sbi.tips/2017 workbook and download a copy of the workbook we use in these workshops. And if you're watching the video broadcast, I'm holding this up right now. You can see the physical workbook. As you can see, this thing is a beast. It's about 400 pages in it. And what we tried to do by speaking to people like Heather that are experts in their particular domain, is capture all of the emerging best practices out there that are working for people. For example, the 3-to-1 ratio. That's an example of something you might find in this workbook and in the workshop itself. So I encourage you all to go ahead and get a copy of that. All right, you're listening to the SBI podcast. Stick around. We'll be back in a second.
Meet Tom. He's the CEO of a leading medical device company, and this is his business partner, the latest SBI workbook. Every day, Tom uses the workbook to guide his sales and marketing vision. The yellow sticky? That's his corporate strategy. The pink sticky? His product roadmap. The dog-eared section? That's where Tom's mapped out next year's growth plan. The stain on the cover? That's from the champagne he popped open when they made their Q4 number.
That was a good day, wasn't it, Mr. Workbook?
How do you SBI? Take it to the next level with the SBI workbook. Order your copy today at howdoyousbi.com.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the SBI podcast. I'm your host, Greg Alexander, and today's guest is Vice President of Marketing, Heather Young. And today we are demonstrating how to leverage sales development reps to generate leads for the sales team. We're going to jump back into the questions. So, Heather, what is the profile of a sales development rep that you hire?
Well, so to begin with, I really believe in building a diverse team. It's that depth and breadth of different experiences and knowledge that cultivates ideas and fresh approaches that lead to standardized business practices. But that said, SDRs are typically an entry-level position into sales, really. And so we draw a lot of early raw talent that's not so much from real-world job experience, but the characteristics that we see be successful in an SDR role. So being smart, sharp, ambitious, having a high sense of activity level, being a strong communication skills, whether that's verbal or written, and then of course a strong work ethics. So that's really the profile of a sales development rep that we're looking for, more than a traditional experience that you'd see in a standard resume.
Yeah. And since it's an entry-level position, in fact, a million moons ago, this is how I started my career at...
Yeah.
Yeah. So they hired me right off the college campus. And
yeah, exactly.
And I think it's...
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's a great way to begin a career in sales for sure. But when you're hiring somebody like that, you can't look at a resume. You know, I've been at this company and here are my numbers. You have to look at these things like intelligence and ambition. Those are harder things to interview for. So how do you test for things like smarts? I mean, do Do you put them through an IQ test? I mean, how do you handle that?
Well, not so much, but you do have questions that are more situational related that can give you an idea of how they'd approach a situation and what are their cognitive responses to that, and that can give you a general idea. Because SMART is, relatively speaking, I mean, you could be, as academically smart as ever, but that doesn't mean that you're an effective communicator or have the ability to build a rapport with a customer, as an example. So I really rely a lot on situational questions to get to the root of that.
Okay, and where do you find them?
So, I mean, you said so yourself. So college recruitment is a great way to start. I mean, anyone who has sales internship programs are a strong source, as well as college job fairs. And then, of course, there's LinkedIn and other social technology strategies to use. And referrals are really strong too. Once you get a cluster of A players, they tend to usually hang out with other A players. So as long as you've built a really meaningful program for them, you're going to draw and recruit through referrals more top talent. So I rely on that a lot, and having that solid recruitment strategy and being in tight alignment then on what that profile is going to be really important to be able to draw that referral base as well.
Yep. Okay. Very good. And in terms of onboarding them, what does that look like?
So definitely a very prescriptive onboarding program. I mean, because, again, you're not taking from resumes that have this long history of experience, you really have to build in a program that focuses on tracks of different learning. So products tracks, of course, where you're learning the product solutions, but also technology training to make sure that they understand the different tools that's being leveraged, and then soft skills training too, sales prospecting techniques as an example. So we run a 6-week program that has measurable milestones too to ensure that they're pacing, and then, as needed, if they need to go back and get reinforced in one area or another. And that's really important to making sure that everybody is off and running to be the most successful in the role.
Yep. Okay, so in this segment, we talked about the profile that you hire to, where you find them, how you onboard them. My last question is how do you compensate them?
Sure. So it's a base and variable compensation plan, so very, very similar to sales in that. The variable piece is the majority of it tied to the lead targets that we want them to go after. So a successful meeting from that lead then earns credit towards their target goals. But we also have a portion of it that's tied to the quota goals of the field reps they support. So we talked about that 3-to-1 ratio. Having a component of their variable tied to their field rep success is then critical for the alignment and the collaboration of the fields they support, but it also gives a greater assurance that the leads that are being passed over are of the highest quality.
Yeah, that's a good closed-loop system. Just a follow-up question on that. If they're supporting 3 reps, do all 3 reps have to be successful, or is it kind of partial success? Is that attainable?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Performance and key performance indicators then are a measurement not only of the attainment of the leads, but to your point, what is the distribution of those leads? And is it equally balanced amongst the sales reps?
Okay.
We don't want to have a haves and have-nots as best as we can.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, this is a good spot for another break, so let's go ahead and do that. Before you come back, head over to Apple's App Store and download the SBI app. Now, why would you want to do that? This allows you to get all of our sales and marketing content, like this show, in a mobile-friendly way. So we've got one more segment, so stick around after the break. We'll be back in a sec.
Meet Jake, the VP of Sales for a growing tech company and an avid runner. During his marathon training, he listens to SBI podcasts,
dedicated to helping you make your number.
This way, he can stay in shape and stay on top of the emerging best practices in sales and marketing.
Your job as a sales ops team is to make the sales team more efficient.
Now that he's mastered the 8-minute mile, he's planning to make his number and take over the top sales spot in the tech world. So watch out, competition. Jake is right behind you.
Help the audience understand how you prioritize those accounts.
And he just got his second wind. How do you SBI? Podcast, video podcast, blog, TV, magazine. Access it all on the new SBI app, available now in iTunes.
Okay, welcome back. This is our last segment with Heather, demonstrating how to leverage sales development reps to generate leads for the sales team. We're going to jump back into the question. I got 3 big questions in this segment. So, Heather, did you consider outsourcing this function, and why did you decide to do it in-house?
So I think outsourcing is a really great strategy if you're piloting a program or a specific project that has a finite time stamp on it. I also think outsourcing is a great strategy if you're building into a new market. But to really dedicate an outbound function focused entirely on lead creation, having the investment in-house brings, I believe, a far greater return. So, for example, the understanding and effective communication of our value proposition is going to be far greater from somebody who went through that training program. And plus, as well as the commitment to Rimini Street in general. Lastly, I really believe that people are our primary investment. So if we're building and developing our people, then not only are we going to get the recruitment that we talked about before, but we're also going to give a bench for future roles into different areas of the organization too. And so that's a really sound full cycle investment that I believe that can only be accomplished with an in-house strategy.
Mm-hmm. You know, if I was representing one of these outsourcing firms, the counter argument to that would be, you know, it's pay for performance. You know, you typically pay for an appointment when it's held, whereas when you do it in-house, you know, you've got a salary as well as the variable. So it's a little riskier, if you will, doing it in-house. How would you counter that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do pay for performance. We already talked about the variable compensation piece. There are often hidden costs in outsourcing that you have to invest into. So, for example, typically there's an account manager function, and that's additional cost on top of the lead. So there is that piece of it. But again, it goes back to, you're right, as a short-term strategy, you might save yourself a couple of bucks, but long-term, you're creating an intellectual property, right, from the people that you have that can give back in many ways beyond just the quality of the lead. But the quality of the lead is going to be at a higher level, I found, because, again, they really know the business value. They really have a strong, tight alignment out in the field, and they really have a strong understanding of what it is that our business value is bringing to the customers that we're seeking. And none of that is surface or for a finite period of time, right? It continues to evolve and grow as we continue to invest in them.
Yeah, okay, very good. You know, it seems like every day I read about a new tool targeted at improving the productivity of SDRs. The technology tools, I mean, there's so many of them these days. What types of tools do you provide your team, and any recommendations for our audience as to tools that might be most effective?
Yeah, so I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Right now is such a great time in our industry for sales development, and we're seeing new tools popping up all the time. And I'm constantly looking at them, by the way. But we have a really rich tech stack. We use a dialer technology that's going to help you increase productivity and efficiency and conversion rates around the dials itself. We've got an email technology, and that's there to help build an integrated email campaign, and you can see the results of those campaigns too. We have a plethora of contact enablement tools that gives us customer information and customer insights. And then, of course, we've got Salesforce as our CRM and a couple of others as well, but those are our primary functional daily tools that we use each and every day.
Okay, very good. All right, my last question for you is, what do you think the future holds for outbound marketing and the SDR rep position in particular?
I think that's a great question. I believe that we've really only just begun with this function. We're starting to see more and more companies really embracing the idea and seeing the value of dedicated focus that an outbound function brings. So as this continues to evolve, obviously we're going to see more tools continue to emerge. But more importantly, what I think is we see a deeper alignment between sales and marketing by doing this. And that creates an overall better experience for our customers as they make their way along the buyer's journey.
Yeah. Okay, audience, there you have it. Heather, an expert on all things marketing, but today we asked her to share with you her experience regarding generating leads via outbound marketing and the use of an SDR, sales development rep team. So hopefully you learned something there. Heather, it was just a great demonstration on how to do this. I want to thank you for sharing your approach with our audience.
Thank you. Really great to be here.
Okay, and I want to thank the SBI audience for tuning in. Last quarter, this show hit another milestone. This show has crossed over 1 million listeners. I never thought I would be able to say that, but 100 some odd shows ago, that was a dream, and here it is. So speaking for all of us who put this show on, our writers, our producers, our bookers, the post-production team, etc., I want to thank all of you for your support. Putting this show together is a lot of work, and it's rewarding to know how much you enjoy it, so thank you a bunch. If you want to learn more about this topic or the other areas we focus on, go to salesbenchmarkindex.com/register and create an account. This allows you to personalize your experience with our content. For instance, you can choose the topics you're interested in and how often you want to learn about them. Okay, that's it for today. As always, until next time, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on SBI services, case studies, the SBI team and how we work, or to subscribe to our other offerings, please visit us at salesbenchmarkindex.com.